coming up. House of Representatives directs the Central Bank of Nigeria to withdraw its circular on cybersecurity levy. Also passes resolution to investigate the contract award for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. The Senate approves death sentence for drug traffickers, passes through third reading in the 2024 National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Amendment Act bill. And Governor Siminalayi Fubara says Rivers lawmakers, not members of the State Assembly, the lawmakers veto the governor on yet another bill. Plus, Israeli military orders residents in eastern Rafah to evacuate immediately towards what they called an expanded in view. Well, we'll begin at the National Assembly, where lawmakers in the House of Representatives have waded into the debate rising from the new Central Bank of Nigeria's cybersecurity levy, directing the Apex Bank to withdraw what they term an ambiguous circular and issue a more understandable one. Moving the motion at plenary, Honorable Kingsley Chinda drew attention to multiple interpretations of the CBN directive against the specifications in the Cybercrime Act, adding that there's need to halt and modify the implementation of the cybersecurity levy. In the meantime, the House has passed a resolution to investigate the procurement process and the award of the contract for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road.
It's another day of urgent motions as members of the House of Representatives adjust to the challenges of the newly renovated chamber, even as renovations continue. After stepping down a motion on the cybersecurity levy the previous day to allow the leadership of the House deliberate more on it, the minority leader presents a comprehensive motion calling for a halt and modification of the implementation of the cybersecurity levy contained in a circular by the Central Bank.
The House is further concerned that the words of the CBN circular leaves the CBN directive to multiple interpretations, including that the levy be paid by bank customers, that is Nigerians, against the letter and spirit of Section 44(2)A of the Act, which specified businesses that should be levied accordingly. The House is therefore called upon to resolve to direct the Central Bank of Nigeria to withdraw the ambiguous circular and issue an unequivocal circular in line with the letters and spirit of the law.
Next, the House considers and approves a motion mandating its Committee on Foreign Affairs to carry out a holistic investigation into the activities of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Missions.
The country has properties and assets across the world under various missions, many underutilized and several others abandoned, which if properly audited and harnessed well will enhance efficiency of our foreign services. In a lot of missions, local staff ceiling has been exceeded due to violation of rules, and in some instances the ceiling of foreign service officers. This has further resulted in indebtedness in the respective missions.
In another motion, the attention of the House is drawn to a possible violation of the Procurement Act in the award of contract for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road.
Aware that the procurement strategy adopted by the Federal Ministry of Works for the award of the contract violates the Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission Act 2005. As Section 4 of the Act outlines that all approved infrastructure projects and contracts for financing, construction and maintenance must be advertised for open competitive bid in at least 3 national dailies.
The House mandated committees on Works and Public Procurement to investigate the matter and asked the Ministers of Works, Finance, as well as the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to avail the House with all supporting documents. Another motion for investigation before the House is on the urgent need to rejig the Niger Delta Power Holding Company.
The management of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company is proposing to designate the 252 megawatt open cycle power station as a construction site, thereby abandoning its primary responsibility of running it to the benefit of the state, the Niger Delta, and the nation at large.
The House also resolves that the managing director of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company should appear before the Committee on Power to shed light on the state of the company. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And the House of Representatives has launched an investigation into the escape of the head of Binance Africa, Mr. Nadeem Anjarwalla, from the custody of the National Security Advisor. This resolution followed a motion of urgent public importance moved by Dominic Okafor during plenary on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the lawmakers have refuted claims by Binance Group that they demanded bribe from the company.
Wednesday's plenary in the House of Representatives was filled with motions of urgent national importance. But first, citing breach of privilege, a member of the House draws attention to allegations of bribery made by cryptocurrency platform Binance. Binance had issued a statement that some unknown persons in Nigeria demanded huge payments in digital currency to make their problems in the country go away. In the statement, Binance had pointed out that its representatives were approached while leaving a public hearing with the House Committee on Financial Crimes sometime in March.
This House has never had a meeting with this person before. We have no interface with this person. And these persons woke up one morning and decide to degrade this House to the extent of saying we demanded bribe from them. I suggest that this House maybe invite this person to come and tell us whoever demanded this bribe from him from this House.
This is quickly followed by a motion calling for investigation of the escape of the Binance executive Nadeem Anjarwalla from the custody of the Office of the National Security Advisor.
The escape of the Binance executive from the Office of the National Security Advisor using a smuggled passport is, to say the least, most disappointing, embarrassing, and disturbing as it portrays the porosity of the security architecture of the country to the world.
Another motion for urgent attention is the death of a 4-year-old boy, Miguel Ovoke, allegedly at Brick Hall School in Abuja.
Concerned about the traumatic effect of the sudden death of this little boy, Miguel Ovoke, on the family and that of the classmates. Right, obviously, we are further concerned about the negative image this act will leave on our country in the sympathy of nations if such is not addressed.
The House observes a moment of silence for the late Miguel and constitutes a special committee to carry out the investigation.
May their soul rest in peace.
Security, as always, is not left out. The House considers and approves a motion on the worrying rate of kidnappings in schools across the country.
If no drastic measure is taken to curb this escalating insecurity situation in the country and in our schools, the entire schools may end up being shut down due to activities of these miscreants and hoodlums.
The House is also mandating schools to engage the services of private security outfits to complement the efforts of the security agencies in securing the schools. In the meantime, the House has stepped down a motion calling for the suspension of the Cybersecurity Levy, which has generated negative reactions from the public. The Speaker urged the mover of the motion, Honorable Manu Soro, to step the motion down and allow the leadership of the House have a robust discussion on it before it is presented before the House. From the House of Representatives, Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Senate has approved the death penalty for drug traffickers in the country as it passed through the third reading of the 2024 National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA Amendment Bill. The proposal, which was passed through a voice vote, followed submission of the report of the amendment of the bill by the chairman of the Senate Joint Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, as well as Drugs and Narcotics, Senator Tahiru Munguno.
The last day of plenary for the week began with the usual consideration of bills until the report on the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Amendment Bill 2024 was submitted.
Check it again. It's 28.
The chairman of the Joint Committee, Senator Tahiru Munguno, first made his presentation on the need to strengthen the war against drugs before its consideration in the Committee of the Whole, where some lawmakers outrightly expressed polarized views on the penalty for drug traffickers.
The objectives of the bill is, one, it seeks to strengthen the operation of the agency, to empower the agency to establish laboratories for forensic review the penalty provision, and to enhance the power of the agency to prosecute drug-related offenses and issue subsidiary legislations.
Since we want to amend this law to be more effective, then the punishment should be harder. So I am proposing that instead of imprisonment for life, it should be to be sentenced to death.
It is time to call a spade a spade. If we want to eradicate drug trafficking in Nigeria, the only way to do that is to nip it from the board and to make it a capital offense.
The matter was then put to a voice vote. However, some lawmakers were displeased over what they described as a hasty passage.
Death sentence is not a matter for a, nay or nay. No, it cannot. We'll take a vote. It's a fundamental issue. We are making law here. This is not a motion.
Currently, offences punishable by death include armed robbery, murder, treason, conspiracy to treason, treachery, among others. Earlier, the lawmakers commenced the process of reviewing the salaries, allowances and benefits of judicial officers.
It is only fair that we make the job of the judicial officers very comfortable to avoid the temptations of bribes and the rest of them, which may not be in the interest of dispensation of justice.
This is definitely a bold step and a step in the right direction. So those in support that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
The Senate has also approved the budgetary estimate sum of 17 billion naira to the Universal Services Provision Fund to essentially promote the availability of network services to underserved communities across the country. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And each day seems to bring with it a different twist in the political face-off between Rivers Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the State House of Assembly. And Governor Fubara is still talking tough, saying the lawmakers can cease to act as legislators if he so decides. Governor Fubara stated this while addressing a delegation of political and traditional leaders from Bayelsa State who visited him to seek an end to the political crisis in the state and an improved relationship between both states.
To you this afternoon.
These traditional and political leaders from Bayelsa State are here on a courtesy visit to Governor Siminalayi Fubara at the River State Government House in Port Harcourt. The delegation, led by a former governor of Bayelsa State and current Senator Seriake Dixon, includes notable figures such as the first military governor of Old River State and traditional ruler of Tuan Brass, Alfred Dete Spiff, as well as the chairman of the Bayelsa Council of Traditional Rulers, along with several other traditional rulers, former state and National Assembly members, former commissioners and other political leaders. The leader of the delegation says the visit is on two grounds: to call for an end to the political crisis in River State and seek an improved relationship between Bayelsa and River State that once existed as one state.
The creation of Bayelsa State out of Old River State was not and should not be made to see as if it's a severance of the relationship between our people. It is not a war of Jericho, of division, hatred, and acrimony between our people. But it's a move which, well utilized, will accelerate our development and national stake.
Acknowledging the concern of his neighbors, Governor Fubara explains how much restraint he's exercised since the crisis began in the state. He acknowledges the contributions of his predecessor and Minister of the FCT, Mr. Yeson Wike, to his emergence as governor, but promises not to worship any man.
The young people, those group of men who claim that are assembly members, are not assembly members. They are not existing. I want it to be on record. I accepted that peace accord to give them a floating. That's the truth. There was nothing in that peace accord that's a constitutional issue. It's a political solution to a problem. I want you to see the sacrifice I've made in the cause of allowing peace to be in our state. I can say here with all amount of boldness,
I've never called any policeman anywhere to go and harass anybody. I've never gone anywhere to do anything against anybody. But what happens to people that are supporting me? They are being harassed. They are being detained. There is no week that somebody doesn't come here with one letter of invitation for trump-up charges and all those things.
On the relationship between both states, Governor Fubara condemns the crisis that had existed before he became governor.
We were separated because of political purposes to expand development. But we need to be united so that the economy of these two states will grow. There's no need for us to have any arguments over assets. There's no need for us to have any disagreement over issues of who owns this or who doesn't own that. One way or the other, we're even interrelated. That is the truth.
It is expected that this visit and other efforts will help strengthen the bond of unity between the two states.
And when News Round returns, Rivers lawmakers veto Governor Fubara on state's public procurement law. Details after the break. Do stay with us.
Is subject to the rule of law, and that's why you should pay attention, because when legal heavyweights talk, they talk to Law Weekly. Join Shola Shuele on Channels Television every Saturday at 3:30 p.m. for the big discussions on justice, the law, trending legal issues, and how it affects you. Catch up on YouTube and give your feedback. Remember, it's about the rule of law.
In every show, we bring you closer to the fastest growing movie industry in the world, from the making to the premiere. Get up close and personal with the stars and industry captains, plus reviews and much more. Nollywood Uncut, every week at these times.
Welcome back. Well, just as Governor Fubara was blowing hot at the government house, the state lawmakers were also tackling him over the state's public procurement law. At the end of the plenary, the lawmakers vetoed the governor the bill before them and passed it for the third reading, making it the seventh time they would veto the governor on the state laws. The Speaker, Martin Amole, accused the governor of financial responsibility and recklessness in the way he's spending money without appropriation. Take a listen.
It's another sitting of the Rivers State House of Assembly, and one of the items on the agenda for the day is the governor's handling of state financing, which the Speaker condemns.
For those that may not understand today, tomorrow they will understand the position that this House has taken on most of these matters. The Rivers State Public Procurement Amendment Bill, which members have just spoken about, which we passed and forwarded to His Excellency the Governor for his assent, which he has also chosen to withhold his assent, is one bill that seeks to secure taxpayers' money. This bill seeks to ensure that taxpayers' money are not spent arbitrarily. Distinguished colleagues, it is no longer news that the Governor of Rivers State, he has chosen not to appoint the chairman and members of the Bureau on Public Procurement. As we speak, there is no bureau in place, there is no DG known to law. The governor, at will, spends taxpayers' money without due process. And the whole world is watching. The whole world is watching how a sitting governor will be spending taxpayers' money without due process. awarding contracts without a budget, awarding contracts that were never even in the budget of last year, and doing so, and they are boasting that nothing will happen.
Without wasting time, the Deputy Speaker asked his colleagues to veto the governor on the State Public Procurement Amendment Bill.
Representation of the Rivers State Public Procurement Amendment Bill 2024. Mr. Speaker, one important thing that I've learned from you as Speaker of the 10th Assembly is that you are always following the law and procedure. Mr. Speaker, Parliament all over the world, when properly constituted, as we are rightly constituted this morning, everything they do is done according to law, procedure, and best practice. And that is what we are about to do this morning. The bill shall become law, and the assent of the governor shall not be required.
Of particular concern is the issue of Emowa local government, where the staff are yet to be paid their March salaries.
Our trip, in our meetings, we discovered that the Emowa local government staff have not been paid salary up to this moment. Our further findings reveal that there was an instruction to the civil servants in that place who are the signatories not to sign relevant documents to access funds.
And the case of Emowa is now more pronounced, like the chairman of the committee rightly pointed out. To this day, no staff of Emowa local government has been paid salary for the month of March, both political office holders and civil servants there. Why have they not been paid? Because an impostor who was directed by the governor sits there in the commission, contrary to the Rivers State Local Government Service Commission regulations.
Next, the Speaker signals the passage of the second reading of the Rivers State Public Procurement Amendment Bill 2024.
The Rivers State Public Procurement Amendment Bill 2024 is hereby passed for a second time in line with Section 100, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution as altered. The clerk will forward copies of this new law once Mr. Speaker appends his signature to relevant authorities.
This is the latest in the political saga involving Governor Siminala Ifubara and the House of Assembly. It remains to be seen when the face-off will finally be resolved. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
And moving away from Rivers politics now, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Charles and Meghan Markle, been sharing the mental health message with some students in Abuja. In the nation's capital, Prince Charles told the students that it is normal to acknowledge how they feel and not suppress it. The couple arrived in Nigeria on Friday and kicked off activities to mark their 3-day visit with a mental health summit for teenagers in Abuja. They later had a meeting with the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, as well as a meeting with Governor Obasani in Kaduna State, where they visited the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex arrived the first stop on their 3-day trip to Nigeria. The couple is greeted with cheers and dancing by a traditional troupe. They are greeted by some students. Harry and Meghan are at the school to attend a mental health summit. The couple is excited to be in Nigeria and urges the students to embracing their mental health.
No more being scared, no more being unsure of mental health. If you are unsure, then ask. Ask your teachers, ask your friends. Be there for one another. If you see your friend in your class not smiling, what are you going to do? Are you going to check in on them? Are you going to ask them if they're okay? Because it's okay not to be okay.
We believe in you, we believe in your futures, we believe in your ability to continue to tell your stories, and to just be honest with each other. There is no need to suffer in silence. Hi. Just make sure that you are taking care of yourselves, and that begins with your mental health by really talking about whatever is coming up for you.
The summit is organized by a local non-profit organization affiliated with the couple's charity organization, Archwell Foundation.
Now, hopefully people take inspiration from what we're doing, because obviously we can't do it alone. And so the idea is hopefully that other NGOs, the government itself emphasizes mental health so that they can have programs that are more widespread. We'll do whatever we can, but we don't want to be alone in this.
The couple then left to school and made a stop at the defense headquarters. They are in Nigeria at the invitation of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa.
Disabled and wounded servicemen and women of conflict across the world. Now, last year in Düsseldorf, Germany, Nigeria became the first African at the invite of General C.G. Musa, who's the Chief of Defense Staff. As I said, he's here with his wife. He's got hands on in the morning now. Made up of men and women of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Atari himself a veteran and a military officer, fought in Afghanistan during the war there, and
The next stop is Kaduna, where they were received by Governor Obasani, as well as soldiers that were wounded in action. Governor Sani commended the efforts of Prince Harry and highlighted the significance of the visit.
Your visit is evidence of your commitment to inspiring recovery, supporting rehabilitation, and broadening respect of our breakthroughs.
Prince Harris's visit to Kaduna comes 68 years after his late grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, visited the state under the leadership of the late Premier of Northern Nigeria, Sir Ahmadu Bello, and elicits a moment of joy and reflection.
When you talk about lifting the spirits, that is what we are here to do, and we will build on that morale and show that anyone that is caught in the line of fire, that their life, despite injury, is not over.
The Prince and his team later visited the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital to interact with the wounded soldiers who were receiving treatment at the hospital. Journalists were barred from the hospital ward. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
That was Prince Harry and Meghan Markle there. Well, that does it for the show today. Thank you so much for watching. Those were the top stories for the week. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.